For you golfers out there, Social Security offers something like a mulligan, the ability to have a do-over if you have a bad start. But unlike a mulligan, which is an agreement between friends, Social Security actually has this written into the rule book. Here's how it works. One time in your life, you can tell Social Security that you changed your mind. You have to do it within the first 12 months of claiming Social Security, and once you tell them that you want to undo it, you have to give back all of the money that you received, including the money paid to Medicare Part B. You do it using Form SSA 521, which only takes a few minutes to fill out. Now, do you get a mulligan also with a pension? Usually not. You sit down with HR, you fill out the forms, you choose one of three options usually, and that decision, once it begins, follows your family for the rest of your life. So we're going to spend time on that decision today and the interplay between the pension decision and the Social Security decision. Now, something to take note of here, while what we're going to talk about is pretty easy to understand, the decision is quite critical, so make sure you talk to a qualified professional about your specific situation before you take any action. A third bonus, and something that actually isn't expected, but getting this right may mean that you can take more money out of your 401k or your IRA. I'll explain why at the end. First, check whether the Social Security rules already changed for you. Before we touch the pension paperwork, there's something you need to look at, because for a couple of million families, the math already changed and some of them still don't know it. The Social Security Fairness Act of 2025 got rid of the windfall elimination provision, WEP, and the government pension offset, GPO. Why is this important? Why are we even mentioning it here? Because both of them involved someone who had a government pension, usually anyway. Here's what the two rules did. If you earned a pension from a job that didn't pay into Social Security, your ability to claim Social Security was reduced. But not only did it reduce your payment based on earnings where there was no contribution, it also reduced your Social Security based on earnings where you had made contributions to Social Security. A summer job as a teacher, for example, is a big one. A teacher takes a summer job, they pay Social Security, but the amount that they paid into Social Security isn't given full credit because of these two provisions. So who did it affect? Teachers, police officers, firefighters, people who have government or government-adjacent jobs. Now, to be clear, when these two provisions were repealed, it didn't create payments to Social Security if you hadn't paid into Social Security when you were a police officer or a firefighter. But it did eliminate the haircut on the jobs that you had where you were paying into Social Security. In other words, if you only worked the government job and never contributed to Social Security, it wouldn't save you. You still needed 40 quarters of earnings, 10 years, if you were claiming Social Security on your own work record. But what about the spousal benefit or the survivor benefit? Neither one of those require the partner to work. Once the government pension offset was repealed, the spouse and the survivor were both entitled to a full spousal or survivor benefit, as if they had no government pension whatsoever. And frankly, while nobody liked either one of them, the GPO, by a lot of people anyway, was seen as wholly unfair. It reduced the spousal or survivor benefit by 2/3 of that pension. In plenty of cases, that wiped the benefit out completely. But both of those rules are gone now, and December of 2023 was the last month that they applied. Unfortunately, there are spouses, widows, and widowers who were told years ago that they would never receive a benefit, and so have never applied. So if you get nothing else from this video but this, if you know someone that should be receiving a spousal benefit or a survivor benefit, but they never applied because they didn't think they could, forward this video to them so they have this information. Let's talk about the three most common ways a pension payout usually exists. Option 1 is a single life annuity. It pays the bigger monthly check. It pays for your lifetime only. When you pass away, it stops. Your spouse gets nothing from that pension. Option 2 is a joint and survivor annuity. The monthly check is smaller, but it keeps paying your spouse after you're gone. And option 3, if your plan offers it, is a lump sum payout. You take the whole value up front and manage it yourself. Now, there are three facts about these choices that most people don't hear. The first is that the joint and survivor benefit pays somewhere between 50 and 100% of your benefit. It's the standard option that most plans default to, and to turn it off, your spouse needs to sign the form, usually in front of a notary or a plan representative. If you think about what that means, someone in Congress decided that it's not okay for one spouse to make the determination for both spouses without the other spouse knowing exactly what's going on. The second, if you take a lump sum payment, you can roll it right into an IRA that same year and not pay taxes on it. But the size of that lump sum can move substantially with the interest rates your plan uses to calculate it. So two people retiring a year apart from the same plan can be handed very different amounts. Third, if you're worried about your plan failing, check to see if it's guaranteed by the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation. Many of them, most of them are. For 2026, the maximum guarantee for a straight life pension beginning at age 65 is about $7,800 a month. Other payments are guaranteed at lower amounts, so check your own plan. But for most retirees under normal circumstances, this is more than their pension payment. So the real question for a lot of people anyway on this form isn't which payment is biggest, but how do I protect my spouse the most? And that is where Social Security comes into play. Here's the connection and why this is so important. If you choose a single life pension, that payment stops, unfortunately, the day that you do. So all of the protection for your surviving spouse has to come from somewhere. And there are only two places left: your savings and investments and Social Security. And that makes your claiming age so much more important. Let me get really precise here. If you were born in 1960 or later, your Social Security full retirement age is age 67. If you claim early, say age 62, you get 70% of it. If you claim late, say age 70, you get 124%. The longer you wait, the larger your benefit. But the survivor benefit is based on the size of your payment, or the size your payment would be on the date that you passed. So if you claim early, your survivor is going to get a smaller payment. And to get really granular about this, if you waited until full retirement age, you get 100%, but one additional year, it's an extra 8%. 2 additional years, it's an extra 16%. 3 additional years, it's an extra 24%. The maximum age is age 70. The survivor benefit is based on the size of your payment, adjusted for the claiming age of your spouse. And Social Security has one benefit that pensions don't have. It has a cost of living adjustment every single year. Pensions often don't have a cost of living adjustment, inflation adjustment. Some do, but many don't. So for most couples, Social Security is the main income that keeps up with inflation for the survivor. Not the only one, but the main one. Now, there's one provision that makes the downside a little bit better. It's called the widow's limit. And basically, if the deceased claimed Social Security early, the minimum that the spouse can receive is 82.5% of the full retirement age payment if they do one thing. They have to wait until their own age 62 and 9 months, because at that point they qualify for 82.5% of the payment. It's fuzzy math because 82.5% of the payment should be what their payment actually was, but somebody at the SSA, somewhere in government, I suppose, decided we want to make this easier for them. So if they can wait to 62 and 9 months, we'll give them 82.5% of the deceased's full primary insurance amount. Let me put some numbers on that. Say your full retirement age benefit is $3,000 and you claimed at 62, so you were collecting $2,100 a month. Your survivor doesn't get $2,100. He or she gets $2,475 if they wait until 62 and 9 months, because 82.5% of $3,000 is $2,475. Also, if your partner is utilizing the widow's limit, waiting past age 62 and 9 months doesn't increase the benefit further. So that's something to note. 62 and 9 months is an important point. Again, assuming a full retirement age of age 67 for both you and your spouse. The second point to note is taxes, and this goes in the opposite direction. When your spouse becomes a survivor, he or she doesn't just lose part of their Social Security, they move into the single filer tax bracket the following year. And the tax code treats married filing jointly and single completely differently. Let me explain. If you look at 2026, the standard deduction for a couple, $32,200. If they're filing single, $16,100. The income line that decides how much of your Social Security tax gets dropped as well. The 12% bracket ends at $100,800 if you're married filing jointly, $50,400 if you're filing single. And the line where Medicare surcharges begin $218,000 if you're married, $109,000 if you're single. So if you read this together, income goes down, the tax rate on what is left goes up, every threshold is cut roughly in half. That is the real survivor problem, and it's not just on a smaller check, it's on a smaller check that has a higher tax rate. Gang, Medicare can be confusing. It can be overwhelming. Ask anybody who's age 65 or older, and they will tell you that this is true. They'll spend hours of time looking at and analyzing plans. They'll make a choice, and they'll find out later that they made the wrong choice, costing them hundreds if not thousands of dollars a year. Now, on this channel, we have 3 affiliate relationships. One is our Trusted Medicare Partner Chapter. Chapter is the only national advisor that looks at and recommends every plan. They save their clients about $1,100 per year. They're totally free to you. Your premiums aren't any higher for using them, and it takes about 20 minutes of your time. If this is of interest to you, give them a call at 440-703-1224 to see if they can help. Let me work through an illustration for you. Of course, your numbers are going to be different, but this will give you a sense of what I'm talking about. Meet Ray and Diane. Both are 62. Ray has a pension decision due in about 6 weeks, and either way, his pension starts now. His pension will be about $3,200 a month as a single life option, or $2,650 for a couple. Ray's full Social Security benefit at 67 would be $3,000 a month. Diane's own benefit, $1,400 a month, and in both paths, she claims hers at 67. So Diane is not the variable here, Ray is. Let's look at path 1. Let's assume that's the one that Ray wants to maximize. He chooses the single life option, and he gets the larger pension payment. He also claims Social Security now at age 62, and he receives $2,100 a month. Once Diane's check starts, that's $3,200 of pension, $2,100 from Ray, plus $1,400 from Diane, $6,700 a month while they're both still alive. The other path, path 2, Ray and Diane are coordinating. Ray chooses the joint and survivor pension and waits until age 70 to collect his Social Security payment. Once he turns 70, that's $2,650 of pension, plus $3,720 from Ray, plus $1,400 from Diane, $7,700 a month. Now let me talk about the 8 years in between, because this is something that often goes invisible in discussions like this. From age 62 to 70, path 2 brings in $2,650 less per month. That's $550 less on the pension and $2,100 less on the Social Security payment. Over 8 years, that's $254,000 that they cover out of savings. Once he turns 70, path 2 is ahead by $1,070 per month. So if you look at the two of them, assuming both are alive, it's roughly 20 years to get the $254,000 back. Ray would be 90 years old. And with that fact pattern, if this was only about the two of them, option 1 might look pretty good. The reason to claim path 2 isn't the break-even point, it's Diane. And here's the moment that matters. Ray passes away first, and Diane is left alone. Typically, men pass before women. It's not always the case, but statistically, that's the more likely outcome. In path 1, the pension stops. Diane loses her own $1,400 check because she moves to the survivor benefit, and that survivor benefit is $2,475, thanks to the floor we talked about. So Diane goes from $6,700 a month to $2,475 a month, approximately 37% of the prior income. In path 2, the pension keeps coming, $2,650, and the survivor benefit, it's built on Ray's bigger number, $3,720. Together, $6,370 a month. Diane keeps 82%. Which path is best for you? Well, that's going to be dependent on your specific situation, something to talk to a qualified professional about. Finally, let me talk to you about what I discussed at the beginning, which is why you potentially, anyway, may be able to draw more from your IRA or your 401k by getting this right. When you coordinate these two well, you're not just protecting your spouse, you're building an income floor to pay for your fixed expenses, your rent, your utilities, your mortgage, if you have a mortgage. You get the point. And when that floor is covered by income that you can't outlive, you have a different feeling about your IRA or your 401k. Your IRA stops being the thing that's standing between you and your light bill, as an example. By the way, this isn't just a feeling either. Researchers David Blanchett and Michael Fink looked at how retirees actually spend. They found that retirees spend roughly twice as much from guaranteed lifetime income as they do from an equal amount of savings sitting in a portfolio. Same money, twice the spending. The difference is whether or not it arrives as a check that you can count on. So the retiree who takes the survivor pension and waits until 70 does give up income in the early years, but they do often end up more comfortable with the money that they have because they have a bigger income floor. If you like this video, check out that video, Why Net Worth Skyrockets After Retirement. Also, don't forget to give Chapter a call if you have questions about Medicare, 440-703-1224. This is Jeff Schmidt, and I will see you in that video right there.